What is up, beautiful fish lovers, and welcome to another episode of Puff Daddy Reef. Happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. I'm just getting back up, releasing the videos because now I'm a father myself, and today is a very special day. We will be releasing a batch of fish into the Red Sea Reefer Peninsula tank. Now these are the fish that were in my innovative Marine Nuvo Fusion 20-gallon tank. I recently took all the fish out and put them in my quarantine tank in the bottom of this tank stand. Now that process is 2 weeks of Corpamine and 1 week of Prazapro. This is the 1-2 punch to make sure there's as little possibility of ick and other sorts of parasites and worms as possible. The fish are looking healthy, they're great, so we're gonna put them in today and see how they get along in their new digs. Alright, so I'm beginning to transition all of my fish from this tank into quarantine. And what we've set up here is the box used to trap the fish. So this is just the acrylic box, and the fish, I didn't even have to put bait in here. The fish just sometimes end up in it. And I've got the lid ready to go, so I'm going to close it. And then we will see if we catch the fish. So let's go ahead and close the lid, and we got the fish. So I'm just really thrilled with this technique using this acclimation box. I really didn't want to take out all those rocks, and this worked just fine. I just open the front door, and then there's a top hatch that I swing open, and then I drop in some brine shrimp, and bam! Chalk bass already caught. Let's even get a twofer. Yes! We got the Royal Grama, so let's scoop those guys out nice and humanely. Alright, they're in quarantine, and I'm going to try one more time in this clip to get one more. So everything's ready, and maybe, come on, yes! And we've got the firefish. So now that the temperature is acclimated, these fish, which have already gone through that 2-week quarantine process, are ready to introduce. Now the most important thing to consider when introducing new fish into the tank is to discover ways that you can reduce aggression. So here are some tips on how to reduce aggression when introducing new fish into your tank. The first is to make sure that all the other fish have a very full belly. The aggression typically stems from either competition for food, habitat, or mates. So let's reduce one of those right now by introducing some food to make sure their bellies are full. Another good tip for reducing aggression is to introduce your fish at night. At nighttime, most of the reef fish will fall asleep, or not quite asleep, but they kind of rest because they're very visual feeders, and then they'll wake up in the morning and discover their new mates, and typically there'll be a little less aggression. But my third tip is to plan what fish you're going to introduce when, way ahead of time. This means when you're planning your whole life cycle to stock the fish tank, so I've been doing this over the course of a year, you need to look for the most passive, calm, and probably smallest fish to introduce first, and work your way up in both size and aggression. Now, what's really important for reef fish is that on the reef, they're typically only competing with other fish that look like them for either food or habitat or mates. So most fish are only aggressive to ones that appear similar. So you can keep that in mind when you're introducing fish. That a semi-aggressive fish might be fine to introduce if there's nothing that looks anything like it. And of course you work your way up to greater and greater aggression. One example here where there's a fish that might look like another fish and I anticipate maybe seeing some aggression is that Royal Grama I just put in the tank. I also have a Neon Dotty back, and they look similar. They're both purple and orange and purple and yellow, but I have a big enough tank and plenty of places to hide. I think that they'll work things out just fine for each other. And the last one that I just put into this acclimation box is my maroon clownfish. And this might be a little tricky to introduce. I call him Bling because he wears a chain of lightning around his neck, but he's a much smaller clownfish than the big guy. I think he'll submit, but we'll find out.